Good morning workout. So some of you may have been tuning in recently. My name is Jackie. This morning's workout is Pilates, however, not yoga. So for those who may be joining as a beginner or not familiar with what Pilates is, it's basically going to be a strength workout for your core, your back and your abs. Very useful if you cross-train, do HIIT, running, weights. It's going to, obviously, your core is your powerhouse, so it's going to really support you. In terms of what you need, I'm not going to use any equipment or any kit because obviously with the lockdown you may just have your mat or you may not have any balls or bands. So you just want to roll out your mat. Feel free to have water, take water on board at any point. And if you are at home working with an injury of any kind or just feel tired, then just listen to your body, because I'm unable to see you, but I'm sure you're able to practice safely and be aware of what's going on. So I'll give you time just to roll out your mat. We're actually going to start lying on our back. So if you want to just take time to set up your space and then lie down onto your mat. So as I say, if anything doesn't feel right, especially because this is a strong workout with the core, then if you feel it in your back at any point, then just ease off and then have a little rest. So we're just going to start by mobilizing the back, the sacrum. So if you want to bring your knees up over your chest and then just take some rolls. So popping the hands onto the kneecaps and just circling. They don't need to be super big circles. Have a little bit of space in between your thighs, your legs, and just see how this feels on the lower back. So take the movement in both directions. So you can pause and go in the other direction. And then just stretching off through the glutes before we start. So pop one ankle just above the knee on the other side, creating like a figure of four shape through the thigh and the knee, sending that for that knee towards the lower part of the mat. And then if you want to intensify the stretch, just pick up the lower leg and interlock your fingers behind the thigh and just feel that intense stretch on the glute here. Just working. Before we start into some bridge work, we want to just stretch off those muscles in the butt. And then gently lower and switch sides, so hooking the ankle, opening the thigh out, opening the hip, opening the knee, and then breathing in and just interlacing. And the more you draw that in close to your chest, close to your thigh, the stronger the sensation and the stretch. All right, and then we'll just take the feet to the edges of the mat, roughly speaking, so they're slightly wider than normal than your hips. And then you're just going to rotate as if your legs were a pair of windscreen wipers. So the arms can either stay on the hips to feel what's going on in the pelvis, or you can float the arms out in line with your shoulders, or cactus them if you haven't got too much room. So you're just letting the gravity work here, so you're letting the weight of the legs and the thighs and the quads just come to the earth. They don't need to come all the way down, but feeling a stretch through the hip, up into the waist, IT band. Just do one more each side. Great, and then we're going to come back to neutral. So now bringing the feet underneath the hips and inching the heels in close to the butt. So if you were to stretch your arms out, then you can touch and skim the back of the heels with your fingers. So we're going to start with some pelvic tilts. So I'm just going to come up to show, maybe in case we've got any beginners, how to get your pelvis into a neutral position for Pilates. So if you think about three positions, you want to tilt the pelvis out, so stick the bottom out and arch the back, that's A, position A. And then if you tuck the tailbone all the way under, that's position C. And what you're aiming for is to find somewhere in between the two that you can hold and maintain through the practice, okay? So it's hard to see that when you're led on your back. So most of you may well be familiar with it anyway. So bringing yourself into a bridge position with the legs, so the knees are bent, heels underneath the knees, hip width. We're just going to practice that pelvic tilt. So I want you to push the bottom into the mat and feel that arch of the lower back away from the mat, so you can almost slide the fingers underneath the spine. And then now imprint the lower back into the mat and tuck the tailbone up towards the ceiling. And just move with those two movements with the breath. So inhaling and exhaling. And there should be no discomfort here through the lower back. We're just warming up, mobilizing before we add on. So really push down and imprint fully into the mat, and then as you arch through the spine you feel that natural curve in the back. Just take a couple more rounds of this. So we're looking to find that position B, that neutral pelvis, and then brace through the abdominals as we work through the exercises, and I will remind you. So now coming back to position B, and we're going to start with some bridge lifts. So you can rest the hands down by the sides of the body. If you want a little more of a challenge, turn the palms up so you're less inclined to push through the floor or through the arms. So we're going to do the same movement, and this time as we tilt the pelvis we're going to start to peel the body up. So we're starting slowly, but there will be quite a bit of challenge as we warm up. So rising as high as you can through the hips, squeezing and activating the glutes, and then gently lowering down vertebra by vertebra. So we're coming down the same way, imprinting that lower back. So just move with the rhythm of your breath. If you want that challenge to open up through the shoulders, then the arms can float up over the head, the backs of the hands can come to the floor as you lift the hips to maximum height. And then you can synchronize and try and bring the palms down as the glutes, as the buttocks reach the floor. So just take your time. So we're strengthening here the back body, and particularly the glutes and the quadriceps. Those are the fire muscles that are working here. So we're going to inhale, rise, maybe open up through those shoulders, feel that mobility, and exhale and lower. So we're going to take 2 more of those, and then I'm going to add on. You can feel free to stay with this if this is enough for you this morning. So I tend to layer up my exercises so that you feel you've got choices and options to take all the way through. And if you feel that the body is tiring, then you can always come back to one of the other options, because you're aiming for quality reps. So from here we're going to let the body rest down. Anytime you feel you want to release your lower back, come back to where we were at the very beginning. So hug the knees in over the chest, and just a gentle massage or a gentle circle will do it. So from the same position with the lower body, so the upper body and the chin and the chest is relaxed, we're going to hook the leg over like we did in that glute stretch, and we're now going to focus on one side of the body, strengthening one glute muscle at a time, because they're inherently lazy. So we're going to inhale, push through the foot that's on the mat, rise up, exhale, lower. And we're also opening up through this hip, so you've got this figure of 4 shape. So squeeze, fire up, exhale, lower. If you feel like you haven't got much strength, then bring the heel slightly closer into the buttock, and it will give you that ability to lift a little higher, hopefully. So breathing in as you rise, breathing out as you lower, or you can reverse the breath if you prefer. So feel the sensation in the one glute muscle now. So we're going to work on this side until fatigue. So you can go at your own pace, your own rhythm of breath, but hopefully you're not just watching, hopefully you're taking part and still lifting up. So we'll go for 5 more reps on this side. And 1, lovely. Before we go to the other side, we're going to bring that figure of 4 leg over the top. So you've got crisscross legs, like you were crossing your legs in a chair, and then you're going to bring your legs over. So the leg that's on top, if your left leg's on top, you're taking the legs over to the right. And if your right leg's on top, they're going to the left. You float the arms out. Just a little twist, a little release to the lower back before we do those single leg hip bridges on the other side. So you should have felt that through the glute, through the butt, on the leg that was on the mat. So we're going to come back through centre, unravel, I've just lost the mic, unravel the legs, and then change sides in your own time. So hooking the ankle. If you feel like you've got any knee pain at all, then reactivate the foot. So draw the toes back to the shin, that should support the muscles within the knee. Inch that heel in, remember, so it's directly underneath the knee, close to the butt, and that will also strengthen the move. So we're going to really make sure we work through the glutes. So we're going to inhale, push through the sole of the foot so you get your maximum lift here, and then exhale, release. And notice that you might feel that it's coming into the upper chest and the body as well, a little back bend. So we're inhale, rising, squeezing, exhale, lower. So you can go at your own pace at home if you want to go quicker, or if you want to go slower. I obviously can't see you, but just work to your maximum fatigue on this side. So you want to feel that you're strengthening the muscles down both sides of the body. These are great muscles for toning the butt. And there's no pressure. A lot of Pilates is a lot of sit-ups sometimes, and then there's a lot of pressure on the neck. So I prefer to do a range of movements, and you'll see that through the practice today. Try not to do lots and lots of curl-ups. So we want to support the neck. Here it's completely free and completely relaxed. All of the strength is in the lower body. So we're going to do 5 more repetitions on this leg if you can. So stay with me. Breathe if you feel you're tiring. And 1. And then just crisscross the legs. So inch yourself over to one side of the mat. And remember, if the right leg's on top, the legs are coming over to the left, and vice versa. So just feeling the stretch through the lower back and the spine, just releasing any tension here. Great, and then we're going to come back in to centre. Feel free, if that wasn't enough of a release, to hug your knees in over your chest and to take a little bit of a hug in, like a child's pose, upside down. We're now going to stay with the legs as they were. This time we're going to lift one leg up into the air. Okay, so again, we're going to work on one side of the body. So I recommend going back to the original side, not the side that you've just worked. Okay, the leg's going to come all the way up. So sending the toes to the ceiling tile, you could flex the foot, you could point the foot, and then you're going to lower all the way back down. So the butt is coming back down to touch the mat. So you inhale, rise, fire up, exhale, lower. Okay? So just make sure your upper body is fully relaxed. Imagine you've got a piece of fruit between your chin and your chest. So your neck is nice and free, nice and long. So bring that heel in close if you feel that the foot's a little bit too far out, so you've got that strength. We're going to inhale, push up, exhale, release. If the hamstring's tight, it doesn't need to be super straight, this leg. You can micro knee bend if you need to. So sending the leg up, squeezing to your maximum height, and then lowering down. The pace and the rhythm is up to you. You can work with the rhythm of your own breath. You can count if you want to, but we're going to go to fatigue. So we inhale, rise, exhale, lower. So feeling this glute firing and working. Maybe you change the shape of the foot from pointed to flexed. Inhale, rise, exhale, lower. Make sure you're coming all the way back to the mat each time. You're not pulsing up in the air yet. That's coming in a bit. So keep going with these moves. Remember, I can't see you, but I know you're there. So keep working with me. We're going to do 7 more of these on this leg. 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to stay on this side, have a little rest, and we're going to pulse up. So this time the butt doesn't come down each time. We're going to lift it up to maximum height and then pulse for 10. Okay, and then we're going to switch legs. So breathing in, rising, find that maximum strength, then pulse. 8, 6, 4, 2, and lower down. Great. So now we are going to swap over legs. Lengthen the leg first, maybe a little bit of a knee bend if the hamstring feels tight this morning. Flex or point the foot, so commit to doing 1. Rise up, gently lower down, butt comes to the mat. Inhale, rise, exhale, release. Inhale, rise, exhale, release. You go at your own pace. You can go slower or you can go quicker if you want to raise that heart rate. So let's do 7 more. I'm going to change the shape of my foot. You can choose whether you stay with pointed or flexed or switch. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a little rest before we do the 10 pulses. By changing the shape of the foot, if you're not familiar with that, and you can even turn it out like Billy Elliot, like ballet, position 2. It just works different muscles down the back of the leg, down the inner thighs and so on. So we'll do another exercise in a minute where you'll be able to feel that. So if you're not familiar with why I'm changing the foot shape. So we're going to lift up, we're going to point the toes to the ceiling, we're going to pulse for 10 counts. So breathe in, rise up and pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Brilliant. Hug in and gently move if you need to from side to side, or just take a little release by drawing the thighs in over the chest. All right, so now bringing the heels to touch and turning the toes out. So you're like this shape with the feet, okay? And we're going to work through the inner thighs here. So you're going to bring the knees up to tabletop. So you're going to remember that position 2 in the pelvis. You're going to brace through the abs. So if I was to drop a weight on your belly, it's quite solid here, okay? The knees are opening out almost like a butterfly shape, and the toes are pointing out. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to extend the legs out. The legs are about a sort of 45-degree angle, like a V shape, and then draw them in, okay? Back, knees over hips. They don't really need to come in any further than that because we want to work the lower abdominals. So lengthen. We're also working the inner thighs here, and then draw in. So now if this move is too difficult, you could just do one leg at a time. Okay, so you could do single legs, but still turning the toes out to point to the corner of the ceiling. the room you're working with, okay? Or you could just do less repetitions, or you could take the legs higher, and that will take the pressure out of the abs and the lower back. So brace the abdominals to support the back here as you lengthen away and then draw in. So it's not a super quick move because you want to find tension through the abdominals as you lengthen the legs away. And then when you bring them in, the knees are not coming in beyond the hip bones. So just the lower legs really. You're just bringing them into that knee bend and then that full extension, and feel the inner thighs working as well. So make sure you're working with the breath. You're not holding your breath. Hopefully you can feel this starting to kick in. Take rest at any point. So if you need to rest, just hug the knees in, have a drink, and then just come back in. So we're going to do 10 more repetitions of these frog moves, if we can. So 10, 9, slow movement, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, just one more, 1, brilliant. So we've worked the glutes and the back, and we've worked the lower abs there. We are going to do quite a lot of work now on our side, so on our waist, on our obliques, and then we're going to roll onto our front. And that frogger move that you've just seen, you're going to see a similar variation when we lie on our front and work our back, okay? So you're just going to roll yourself up gently, and you're going to come onto one side of the body. Now it doesn't matter which way, which leg you choose, as long as you can hear me, and if you need a visual cue, see me, but you don't necessarily need to be able to see. So we're going to start with one knee underneath the hip in a sort of mini side plank variation. If you've got granny knees like me, I think I'm about 99, you're going to roll your mat, all right, and have some support for your knee here. So this top leg is going to lift up, so the wrist is underneath the shoulder, and your body is in one beautiful long line, shoulder, hip and heel. So from here the leg's going to rise up and it's going to lower down, rise up, lower down. Think about drawing the navel into the spine and locking on through the abs and keeping that pelvis in a neutral position. One more. Great, and then we're just going to hold it up. So I'm timing you. This is a 30-second plank hold, so keep bracing through the belly, keep breathing through it. Ten more seconds. Keep the leg nice and high. And lower down. Great. From here, you're going to actually lie all the way down. You can support your neck and your head here. So the body is in one long line. Okay, so shoulders, hips and heels again. And what we're going to do is scissor the legs. So the top leg's going to lift slightly, not like super high, just, I don't know, half a metre, no more. And then the bottom leg is going to scissor to meet it and then come down. So the top leg stays up, okay? It's the bottom leg that is coming up, and you can try to actually make contact with the feet, okay? As if they're like coming to meet one another or kissing each other, okay? So The heel can be flexed or the toe can be pointed, but you want to commit to doing one. So let's begin. So we're going to do 10 of these. Lower leg coming up to meet that top leg. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Great. Take a little rest, and then both legs are going to lift up and hold like we did that 30-second plank, side plank hold a second ago. Okay, so breathing in, I'm going to time us. So breathe in, lift both legs up and hold. Brace through the side waist, navel drawn in strongly, lock on the abs. That's halfway. Keep breathing. You could change the shape of the foot if you wanted to. That will change the sensation all the way up into the glute. 5 more seconds. And lower down. If you need a release, just bend the legs and you can just massage that top glute. So we're going to scissor the legs now as if they were moonwalking. Just going to adjust my mat. I don't think it's going to work. There we go. So, supporting the head, or you can lie all the way down if you prefer on the neck, and the legs are going to go, one's going to go forwards, one's going to go back. Just try not to swing around on the pelvis, so try not to roll back and try not to roll forward. You're staying on that lower hip bone and that lower buttock. So you can support with the hand gently in front of the chest. So you're scissoring the legs, breathing. You can point to the feet or flex the feet. Great, and gently release. Bend the knees now and have them slightly in front of your chest, almost like a 90-degree angle. Okay, and we're going to bring the knees together and then bring the heels or the toes together. So a little bit like that frogger move that we did when we were lying on our back. So the knees touch and then the hip opens up and the heel or the toes touch. So try and get, this is all to do with the rotational mobility in the hip. So try and get as much of an opening and a close as you can. Imagine like a hinge of a door. So you can lie down if you prefer, if the neck's happier, lead on the tricep, or you can pop the head up and support the head. So you should feel this kicking into that top butt, glute. So work at your own pace. Let's do 4 more of these. And 1. Great. Have a little rest. And then we're going to keep the legs bent. And we're going to hinge them up as one. Okay, so one unit. So you want to imagine that everything's locked on and zipped up. And you're going to brace them up and then lower them down. So when you come down, it is a controlled movement. You're not just sort of flopping them down on the mat. So that's as important as the lift. So you're not what you're also not doing is rolling onto your back. I can't do that because of the mic actually, but you're not sort of facing up to the ceiling. You're trying to keep this hip bone facing up, your lead on the lower hip bone of the pelvis. So we're hinging up, squeezing and bracing, and then controlling and lowering down. So it's not a really super fast movement. So lift up, gently control it as you lower down. Squeeze, release. 4, 5, 6. Try and get maximum lift on these last couple. And and gently release. So you're going to bring yourself up and swap sides. So we're starting on the knee, so you might want to take extra padding. Starting in that little side plank variation. So the knee stance is underneath the hip, and then this other leg is stretched out long, roughly in line with the knee of the inner arch, okay? So pop this hand down. You can be on the palm, you can be on the fingertips. I prefer to be on the fingertips to strengthen and work my wrist. This arm can float up, and we're going to bring the leg up to hip height for 10 and lower and control it down. Remember, you're not turning the foot out. The outer edge of the foot is leading. So inhale up, exhale lower. Doesn't need to go beyond hip height really, if you're over flexible. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we're going to hold it up, and I'm going to just count us for 30 seconds. So starting from now. Breathe through it. Smile, sun shining. You've nearly done your workout for this morning. Keep going. About 5 more seconds. Excellent. And then release. So now we're going to lie down onto our side. So take time to set yourself up. If you glance down, you should see one long line from your shoulder to your hip bone to your heels. So from here, this top leg is going to lift, probably, 2 feet lengths, and then the bottom leg is going to come up, and the feet are going to meet, like a set of scissors coming together. Remember, try and stay stable through the pelvis, rather than roll back and forth and brace through the abdominals. So let's go. So lift that top leg, we lift up, and we just let the bottom leg come down. You can lie your neck down if you prefer. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now we're going to hold it up 30 seconds, starting now. Keep breathing, it will help. So really strong through the core, bracing. You're already halfway. Keep lifting, keep holding, see if you can lift them a little higher. And gently lower. We might have done slightly longer than 30 seconds then, I lost count. So the knees are going to come in front now. You're going to bend the legs and bring them together here. So coming back to knee taps to heel taps. So you're opening like a book or like a door hinge. So let's go. Inhaling, exhaling. You can slow this down or you can speed it up. You just want to focus on the inner and outer rotation, and you'll start to feel it kick in into the butt and the outer thigh. Five more. And 1. Great, have a little rest. Just release if you've got tension here. So the legs are going to zip together, and you're going to hinge them up and then lower them. Hinge them up and lower them. We're going to do that for 10 counts. And then we will go back to the moonwalks that I forgot. Live class, we all make mistakes. So knees are bent, we brace through the core, we hinge up, pause at the top, and then slow, controlled lowering of the legs. Brace, lower down. So that's 2 counts. 3, gently lower. 4, release. 5, release. 6, release. Try and glue the legs together and maybe get a little bit more height on the last few reps. Or maybe you slow it down so it's more controlled. 2 more reps. If you're going at the same pace as me. And then release. So the legs are going to come long again. So we forgot, or I forgot even the moon walking move. So think about your legs scissoring and just make sure that you're stacked onto the hip. Okay? So breathe and go. So the legs are long here. And you're just fluidly sending one leg forward as far as you can, one leg back as far as you can. You can flex the feet, or you can point the toes if you prefer. And you're trying to control the body, so you're not swinging around here. The pelvis and is in neutral, and the abs are drawn in. Let's do a few more. 3, 2, and 1. Well done. So now you're going to roll onto your front. Okay, so you're going to lie on your belly. So we're going to do some exercises for the back. Okay, to strengthen the back and the body. So I promised to come back to the frog. So I want you to bring your heels together and open your knees maybe in line with your mat, so they're mirroring what we were doing when we were led on our back. Okay, and what you're going to do here in a moment, so I'm just lifting my head so you can hear me through the mic. You'll rest your forehead down, okay, and you're going to squeeze the glutes and lift the heels and the legs off of the mat and send the feet up to those ceiling tiles, okay, or to the ceiling at home. So you squeeze, pause and lower, but your knees are wide and your heels are touching, your toes are turned out. So rest the forehead down. You can make a pillow with your forearms. We're going to start. So we're going to breathe in, rise, squeeze, lower down. You can do it at your own pace, but it's not a quick movement. We want to focus on the strength here. So 4, going to go for 10, 5, squeeze the glutes, lift the thighs off of the mat if you can. Stick with it, guys. 2 more, 1 more, great. Lengthen the legs out now, zip them up. I want you to imagine that you are swimming. And we're going to focus on the lower body to start with. So we're going to keep the upper body relaxed. And we are going to flutter kick the legs. Again, this movement is coming all the way up from the hip. It's not, you're not bending your knees, okay? You are flutter kicking your legs, and the legs are long here, okay? So let's begin. So breathe in and go. So the legs are slightly elevated from the mat. You can point your feet and allow the movement to come from the hips. So flutter, flutter, flutter. Keep kicking, keep breathing. Keep kicking, keep breathing. Keep kicking, keep kicking. Breathe, breathe, breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just let it go. Just rock from side to side to release off the lower body and to release through the back. Okay, final move for our back today. Okay, so I want you to imagine your the only thing that's going to be on the mat really is your torso. So we're going to lift all 4 limbs. Now if this becomes too difficult, you just focus on the lower legs or just focus on the upper body and leave out the lower body. So it looks like this. We're going to Superman arms and legs off of the floor, pause and hold, gently release. Okay, your option is either here with just the lower body or here with just the upper body. Alright, so we're going to do 10 of these, but they want to be quality reps. So we're going to start together and it's slow and controlled. So breathe in, rise. Exhale, slowly release. Inhale, rise. Exhale, release. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, you can take an option if you need it. You've got 5 more reps. Then we're going to stretch it out. Keep going, guys. 3 more repetitions. Amazing. So you're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders and you're going to sit yourself back into child's pose. So you can gently rock from side to side if you want to. And then just take one arm and thread it underneath, just a little stretch for your shoulders. Mainly focus on the lower body and the abs that you can stretch off. Come back in and then switch sides. So thread your arm underneath, turn your head. And then just rising up, coming to all fours, just stretching off the back in case that feels like it needs it. So take a couple of cat-cow stretches. So inhaling, arching through the spine, and then exhaling and pushing into the mat, curving the back like a cat. Just take those one more time. Great, and then come through to kneeling. Inhale, stretch all the way up. C shape over to one side. And then come back through center. Go to the other side. And then maybe stretching the arms in front of you. Arching the back, rounding the back. Nice, and then opening the arms up. Lifting the gaze. And then give yourself a little clap. Well done. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. I hope you have a lovely day in the sunshine. And maybe you can join me here again on Saturday morning at 9:15 for yoga. Take care. Thank you.